Hello and welcome to Close Calls on the 42.e, brought to you in association with Air Sport. You know the drill at this stage. Every week we dial up the hottest pundits in the game to look ahead to the biggest sporting event of the weekend, and this weekend it is all about Carl Frampton's return to the ring, as well as Jamie Conlan's world title fight, a long-awaited one at that. My own name is Gavan Casey, and I'm joined by 42.e's Deputy Editor Niall Kelly. Niall, how's tricks?
Good, thanks, Gav.
It's been a tempestuous time for me on this couch and abroad, Niall, on this show the last couple of weeks. In Cardiff, I inexplicably declared that I would be punched in the face by Anthony Joshua for a mere $5,000.
How are we doing with the GoFundMe for that?
Well, I'm leaving that to you guys. I hope it doesn't come to fruition. And then on Tuesday, as recently as Tuesday, I called the Danish national team spoofers, and it really didn't work out for me. It turned out I was indeed the gobshite all along.
Yeah.
So
I think Christian Eriksen might have been tuning in just before they went into the dressing room.
Wall material, I swear to God. But listen, I'm not going to say a bad word about Jerwin and Kahas or I don't know, who else have we got? Alicia Kozada, who fights Paddy Barnes, or may or may not fight Paddy Barnes. We'll discuss that in a while. We are both delighted to be joined on the line by one of the stalwarts of Belfast boxing, and a former Olympian at that, former world amateur champion. I won't do the full Michael Buffer introduction, Michael Conlan, but how are things there? You're just off the plane, I believe?
Off the plane, landed back to Belfast now, and stayed up for tomorrow night.
How are the nerves, Mick? We'll start with Jamie. I think it's the biggest fight of the card. I was saying to you just before we came on air, any other type of card, if it wasn't a Frampton card, that's a headline fight. Jamie against Jerwin and Kakas, the Pinoy pretty boy. Are you nervous as a brother going into this one, or how do you feel?
Yeah, 100%. Every time he fights, I get nervous. Very nervous always, but you know, this time I truly believe that he's going to go in there and do the job. He has felt great in camp. His mental preparation has been unbelievable, and you know, it's the best shape I've seen him in. So I'm very confident, but I'm always nervous as he is my brother. Big
time, yeah. I mean, would it be fair to say that if Jamie's to have a chance going into this one, I mean, he's going in as the underdog, understandably. This guy's a champion and a very good fighter, but he's going to have to probably fight in a different style to maybe what he's become famous for. Which is pretty much being a lunatic in most fights. Is he going to have to kind of not hold his nerve? That's not a problem, but maybe stay kind of disciplined, stick to a game plan.
100%. He's not going to win this fight if he goes in there and tries to go to war with the guy. He needs to stick to the game plan, stick to his boxing, and just do what he does best. And you know, I've always said every time he gets in the wars, that's nothing. He's a lot better fighter than what he's shown here. And he's a great boxer, and this guy is gonna bring that out in him. I know he is. I've watched so many videos of the guy, and I know everything he's going to plan to do, and we've worked on game plans and tactics, and I think this time, you know, Jamie is in a great mental place, and that's what's going to make him stick to the game plan and win this fight.
Mick, and Kahas was on that Brisbane card that you were on yourself, the Pacquiao Horn undercard. Did you have a chance to watch him that night, or did you see him in and around the place, or did you learn anything from him those few days?
I was going to do a sweat session to get the weight off before the fight and stuff, and he was there, and his team were over shaking my hand, taking pictures. They were like, "Oh, Michael Conlan." It was funny, like, because he was like a world champion, when we were going to pitch me, I was like, "What's the guy? He's world champion." I know who he was, and the guy was like, "Well, 100%, I want to pitch with him." And they were lovely people, lovely guy. Then I watched him fight, and I was like, "Well, he's a great fighter. Also, you know, he's not just another guy coming through. This guy's a great champion. You know, he'd be a tough test for anybody in super flyweight. I think, you know, I would rank him number 2 in Eoin in the super flyweight. So, you know, obviously it's a big test, but one I believe Jamie Conlan can pull off.
Yeah, take us back to October, Mick, because I remember meeting you in Paddy Barnes' dressing room in Edinburgh. I just met Jamie outside. You'd spent a week sparring each other. Jamie had a mouse under his eye. You were looking in fine form, not a scratch on you. And I said to you, you know, would you not take it a small but easy, take the foot off the pedal, given that if he gets caught, which, you know, he is, I suppose, likely to at this stage, knowing Jamie, like, the fight could be off. And you didn't even smirk. You had your arms folded. You just said, no. I want them to be ready. Like, they must have been some serious sessions. Jamie told me in a recent interview on the 42 that you and Danny Vaughan pretty much ambushed him with the first one.
Yeah, that's what it was about. I wanted to put him in positions where he might be in this fight. He might or may not be in this fight, but if he comes into those positions, he needs to know how to react and not just resort to his normal slug it out with it. He needs to just stick to his boxing, stick to his tactics, and that's what I kind of done. I kind of tried to put him in them positions to make him stick to his game plan and implement what he's meant to do. And that's what it was all about. And me and Danny had talked about it before, and we put it on. And I was landing some big shots, some heavy shots, but he needs to be taking these and blocking them and getting away from them and avoiding them. So it's better to learn in sparring than to learn on the job.
Big time, yeah. What are those sparring sessions like? I mean, I suppose even thumping the heads off each other now for the bones of 20 odd years. Like, is it? I mean, we heard, like, say, the famous boxing brothers, like, say, the Klitschko's, for example, they always said, yeah, we'll spar, we'll never fight each other. Obviously, you're not going to fight each other, but is there an extra element of spice to them, or can you just do it, can you treat it as if it's any other fighter now?
There used to be, but now I think we're both very mature, and we know we need to help each other, and we will help each other. We're not really ever try to kill each other, even though when it was sessions I was trying to do it, but that was a tactic. That wasn't like out of spite or anything. But when we were growing up, it used to be really bad because he was always bigger than me and had he dropped me with a body shot before. He first never hurt me with a body shot when I was a kid. So and I was only like 15 or something. I remembered from then, and we always would have just, if he had hit me a good shot and he was trying to take it easy, but he hit me clean, I would have just kind of lost the head and started swinging at him.
Put his journey into context for us, Mick. I suppose for anybody watching who's unfamiliar with Jamie, he's kind of, like I wrote in a recent piece, he's kind of taken the road less travelled in a way, in that he had a stellar amateur career, but it wasn't sort of a standout amateur career like your own or Paddy Barnes. He's done it the hard way. It's been through sheer entertainment and back and forth wars that he's made his name. Like, I guess he's just paved a different path to the sort of traditional path to stardom within Irish boxing circles.
I think, actually, I think it is. He has done kind of the traditional path of Irish boxing. It's very, very rarely you get fighters like myself, Paddy, who and Katie Killer, who are big amateurs, and they come out and their kind of professional career is kind of easy sailing, but they've kind of earned it from like the international achievements in the amateurs. But with Jamie and even like Carl, but Carl had a good backer with Wiggins at the time, and he was promoted well, but Jamie didn't have anybody to promote him well and backing him, and he kind of done it the hard way. The start of his career was very stop-start, and at one stage I thought he was going to walk away from it. Well, many times, not one stage, many times I thought he was going to walk away, but he didn't, and he stuck at it. Then he started getting into the wars and entertaining people, and people wanted to see more of him, and it's brought him to this point where he is now, and the thing that has got him here isn't going to be the thing that's going to win him the fight. It's going to be something else. It's going to be sheer brain, sheer talent, and sheer heart and determination for this fight. Yeah,
he told us recently that watching you fight, he feels, I suppose, the pressures of watching a sibling fight tenfold compared to what you would experience while watching him fight. I doubt that somehow, given his fights with Granados, Anthony Nelson, Yader Cardoza, I think you might go through a little bit more, for the time being anyway.
And he thinks he goes through harder than me, but listen, I could never say he does, because he is my big brother, but he's been my idol since I was a kid, and someone who I've always looked up to and wanted to be like. And to see him, and even in that situation, if I wasn't his brother, to see your idol go through something like that is hard to take. But him being my idol and also being my brother going through that is 10 times more than whatever he feels for me. But it is because I'd be at ringside, and I feel there's been times I felt like throwing punches in the ring myself, like when the opponent's actually on the ropes or something. I feel like punching him, but just it's my brother, and I don't like to see him getting in the way.
Not to get ahead of ourselves or anything, Mick, but on the flip side of that, then, can you put into words what it would mean for you to be ringside tomorrow night and hear the words "and then you" and see Jamie's hand lifted?
Well, you know what? I can't put on the words, but I think it'll be the best it'll be a better team than I've ever felt before, and even all my amateur achievements and what I've done so far in the pro game, nothing will compare to when he's called world champion tomorrow night. And it's my birthday on Sunday, so it's the perfect birthday present.
It's ideal.
Superb. You'll be on the flight home is the only problem. Getting ready for your own fight. We'll touch on that later on. A couple of comments coming in here for Mick. Before we get to those, or I suppose in relation to those, I don't know if you've heard, but we do have a book out at the moment, Behind the Lines. Very proud of it. It's turned out quite well. Now it looks lovely, doesn't it?
Available in all good bookshops and probably some bad ones too.
Yeah, Eason's being some of the good ones. It's also available online. All you have to do for a chance to win this book is just like this video as you're watching if you fancy it, and we will pick a name at random later on. Elizabeth Carthy says, "Come on, Michael," with a lot of shamrock emojis, green hearts, and 2 Ivory Coast flags. So there's that. Cheers for that, Elizabeth. Mick, we will move on to Carl Frampton, I suppose, because there's not necessarily a point in asking you for prediction with regards to Jamie's fight, I think. Carl, coming back to Belfast, it's a massive event, obviously. I don't think it's unfair to say that you and Carl wouldn't have been like best of mates for the last couple of years. I'm not sure how well you knew each other, but you probably didn't hang around necessarily in the same circles or whatever. Since he's left the McGuigans, I remember speaking to you recently and you said it's kind of like he's one of the lads again, and you guys seem to be, all of you, spending a lot more time with him and vice versa. He does seem more kind of ingrained now in that social circle and indeed your famed WhatsApp group.
I could say, we weren't the closest of friends back then, but I think it was kind of like, him being with the promotional team he was with, there was always going to be the comparisons, wasn't there, with me, and, I never knew him well enough personally to say anything, but, I always just had him as a rival, kind of, as I was saying, but the more I've got to know him and the more I've been with him, he's just a complete gentleman, down there guy, one of the lads, and someone who I definitely even so back then I always looked up to him and what he done and his achievements. You cannot question him. He's a phenomenal fighter. I think tomorrow night you're just going to see a refreshed Carl Frampton. I'm not going to say brand new. I'm just going to say refreshed Carl Frampton because he showed his brilliance before, and I believe tomorrow night he'll show it again.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things. Sorry, no.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, you touched on it there. TJV must be the most talked about WhatsApp group in Irish boxing. For anybody, Irish sport, full stop.
I'm not saying much on the TJV. It's confidential. So.
You can't give people a bit of a flavour of what's been going on this week.
We've just been chatting about food and stuff, and but it's good crack and it's a good way to keep in touch with lads. And sometimes when I'm over in America, you get bored and off very easy, and the TJV keeps you entertained anyway.
I'd say.
I mean, about Frampton's return, you mentioned there that we might see a refreshed Carl Frampton as opposed to a brand new Carl Frampton. I'd agree with that because so much has been made of this sole defeat in his record. People tend to forget that was an incredibly close fight. Yeah, he was below par against Santa Cruz the second time, but I mean, by anybody else's standards, it was a reasonably decent performance. Tomorrow night, we've heard him for the last couple of months now, really, since teaming up with Frank Warren and BT, that he is enjoying his boxing again, that he's looking forward to getting back to the ring. With that, I suppose, comes an element of pressure because you have to perform now, because we are, as you're saying, expecting a refreshed Frampton. Like, there must be, I guess, an added weight on him now to back up his words and really return to his best. Whereas if you kind of, I don't know, if you slog your way to a points win tomorrow night, for example, I presume some of those doubts about maybe potentially walking away from the sport will creep back into his mind.
Yeah, I think he needs to put a performance in that. Well, he'll want to put on performance. It's not necessarily because he has to, because it's his first fight back and second fight this year, but he fought a long time ago, back in February or January, whenever it was, and for him to come back and have another fight here. If it was under par, he's under par. I don't think anybody's really going to question it. It's his first fight with a new trainer, and he's back. He's fighting a live, decent opponent. This guy is ready and raring to go. He's bringing Canelo and stuff over, so they have big hopes for him. And Mauricio Garcia, he's not someone to be messed with. He is undefeated, isn't he? So, I feel that this could turn into be a tough fight. But speaking of Carl and Harry's been, I don't think so. I think he's going to put on a dominant performance. And, you know, I felt it before myself, even on my professional debut in Madison Square Garden. I was the main event and there was a crowd there. I had to kind of put on a performance. And I know what that pressure feels like, and it's very, very hard. Even though you're expected to win, the pressure to perform is also a lot harder than being an underdog.
Absolutely, yeah. Will you be having a whisper in Canelo's ear telling him, you know, this town isn't big enough for the both of us? It's the face of Top Rank versus the face of Golden Boy, but it's your hometown.
Nah, I like Canelo, but I'll whisper in his ear and say. No,
you whispered so quietly there that we couldn't actually hear it.
I whispered like that's something here. Whisper in his ear, tell him GGD beat him, like.
GGD did him, yeah. Oh well, like I can't really disagree with that. Paddy Barnes' fight, it's up in the air a little bit at the moment. I think we're expecting news very shortly. His opponent from Venezuela, Eliezer Quezada, he came in 4 pounds overweight, which is fairly drastic stuff. I think you were saying he only arrived in Belfast last night. He was in on short notice, to be fair. He's probably in a difficult position. You reckon if he can shed a couple of pounds, Paddy will still take that fight?
I think Paddy will take the fight no matter what. You know, he wants to be on this show, and you know, this is going to be one of the fighting on Frampton cards is going to be better than anything else in the world for him, because he even said before about like winning Olympic medals and stuff, and you know it's all good on the Olympic stage, but then when you go to like the national tournaments or the international tournaments when there's like 5 people there, it's terrible. So for him to fight in front of this much fans is going to be something special, especially when they're all going to be chanting them on. So I think no matter what, the fight will still go ahead. But he's fighting a hard, decent opponent. He's not fighting no pushover. This guy is tough. He was one of Chocolato's farm partners and stuff. And you know it's a tough case for him, and fair play to him in his 5th fight. He's taken another big step.
Yeah, Paddy hasn't been hanging around at all, Mick. Like, he's accelerated through his first few fights and levels pretty quickly.
Well, he is around 41 now, and you know, like. So I think it's about time, you know, someone has started to do it, and I'm happy for him because he has the ability to do it, and he just needs to go in there and perform on the evening and you know, remain confident.
Yeah, like Quezada twice, I think, beat Yader Cardoza, who took Jamie to the brink in his last fight. So this, obviously, as you mentioned, he's more than a live dog. Paddy seems to be, again, as you mentioned, his I suppose ancient age there, and he does seem to be someone who, in fairness to him, like, he's not necessarily biding his time. He is going through opponents very rapidly, but he's extremely keen to step up with every fight, and he's not just saying that. Like, he is taking on serious tests, and he's saying things like, well, I want to find out if I'm good enough. You know, like, to him it's not even necessarily a guarantee, it's more, I want to test myself and see what I'm made of. It's a kind of a refreshing approach, I think.
Yeah, he has no fear of losing. You know, he doesn't care. He knows what he's in it for, and he wants to be world champion. And he'll fight anybody to beat. If he's not good enough, he'll take it on the chin, say he's not good enough, and you know, I've heard him say that. So, you know, I feel he's doing the right thing by moving this fast, because he is older and he wants to get it before he retires. So, you know, if he can fight these guys as quick as possible, it's good for him. I think, you know, when he fought in Glasgow Edinburgh last time, he was only really in the training camp, and you know, he was taking that as a warm-up fight, and you know, that wasn't the real Paddy Barnes that they're going to see tomorrow night.
Yeah, big time. Well, we're going to finish on a little bit about your own upcoming fight at Madison Square Garden on the undercard of Lomachenko Rigondeaux, and we might chat to you about plans for next year as well. I just want to remind people about this lovely shiny book.
I was wondering when you were going to get to it again.
Yeah, well, it's been a while. Behind the Lines, it is out now in all good bookstores, just in case you're tuning in.
You have a belter of a boxing story in that, Gav. Now, come on, tell to the audience. You do have a belter of a boxing story.
Well, they're going to have to, like the video, and they'll find out. Well, they might find out.
They might find out. Or they can buy a 42.shop for just €10.
42.shop. I know Michael Conlan has made several orders using all that Top Rank signing on money. much all of it has gone into this book, so thank you very much, Mick. Listen, you're back in action on the 9th of December. We mentioned it's Madison Square Garden, back to where it all began, I suppose, last March. Are you excited to get back there? I'm sure you'll have a sizable crowd over again.
Yeah, 100%. I feel that it's going to be my home for the next numerous of years, so next number of years. And I'm looking forward to getting back there and putting on a performance and fighting an Argentinian fella. He's 7-2, never been stopped. And I think that's the test. You know, this guy's never been stopped. I think they want me to get some rounds. He's a bit of a step up. Well, he's got decent enough opposition. So, you know, I think I'll go in there and destroy him, to be honest.
That's fairly alright. Sounds good.
Diplomatic. Luis Fernando Molina. Yeah, you mentioned there 7-3. Is it with a draw, or 7-2 with a draw, but never been stopped? It's similar to I think it was Kenny Guzman the last time he hadn't been stopped either. He had the same record as yourself, 3-0. You mentioned last time we spoke, I think it was after the Guzman fight, about how you were delighted to make kind of a statement knockout, or one of those stoppages that might go semi-viral and get your name out there that bit more and show that, you know, you can bang a bit. Is it about kind of like the pressure from that now maybe is off your shoulders a little bit? Can you try and find out a few more things about your game with this guy, or are you again looking to actually destroy him?
Nah, listen, I never really go in and spark someone out. If it comes, it comes. I have been looking to spark people out, but this time I'm just letting it come. The last time it just came. It wasn't like I wasn't just trying to spark a guy. That he threw a punch when I came with a left and landed with a right. So, you know, this time I'll go in there and I'll put a performance on. I'm going to work a bit more on the defense in this one. I think that's my main aim. You know, maybe not to take any punches at all. You know, last time I didn't care, and I probably not care this guy's power either, because he doesn't seem to get big bang. You always have to be aware anyway. So, I think I'll go in there, beat him out, and then I think I'll take him out in the fourth round.
What are the plans for 2018, Mick? I know a lot of people are kind of anxious to know, not even dates and venues, but, you know, the broad brushstrokes of where you're going to be. Is there any chance that you'll be fighting back here at any stage next year? Dates and venues as well, please. Dates and venues would be great, thanks.
I think we have the guard to get for St. Patrick's Day. I think Boston's going to be in there. Boston will be in there somewhere next year. And then we're in end of May, start of June. I think it's the SSE Arena.
SSE Arena, is it? Very good. I think that may be a half exclusive.
Yeah, we'll take that. We'll hold you to that, Mick.
Yeah, it's going to be a class one. You and Jamie have both spoken before about how growing up and even in recent years you would have loved to have fought together on the same bill. I know that remains the case, but given what you were saying about watching Jamie fight and how, I suppose, horrible it is as a sibling, and given he maintains the same thing, do you think that's a possibility? Like, if Jamie wins a world title, can he defend on your card in May or June?
I don't know. I think that would be a bit of a hard one, because it wouldn't be my card if he was defending the title. I wouldn't let him be below me. He would have to be above me.
Right.
And that would be the only case. I would love to fight on one of his undercards when he's world champion, and, you know, obviously I would love to fight for a world title and win a world title on the same card and have defended his world title. So, you know, that would be the aim, and, you know, definitely would love to fight on the same card, but maybe sometime next year I think it'll be a possibility. What
about your old friend Paddy Barnes? Do you reckon you can drag him across to New York this March, considering it didn't quite work out the last time?
So definitely there's the top rank obviously know about Paddy Barnes. Paddy Burns. So,
Paddy Burns, yeah. You know, he slides into a lot of DMs there, I think.
Yeah. So Gordon was talking about him. So, you know, I think it's definitely a possibility for Paddy.
Brilliant. Well, Mick, we hope you can possibly enjoy the weekend. I'm sure you'll enjoy most of the fights anyway. Jamie's one you'll enjoy, I guess, subsequently if he wins. But enjoy the overall event.
I'll be expecting birthday presents as well for Sunday. So.
Pretty sure he's doing absolutely grand, flying it.
No, you owe me that at least, like, so.
Yeah, we'll fire across a book to you, maybe two of them. I mean, you've already paid for them anyway, in fairness. It was very decent. Really nice gesture, classy stuff. Thanks a million, Mick. We'll speak to you soon. And yeah, well, I'll probably see you up there at the weekend, so we'll chat then.
Best of luck, Mick. Thanks.
So, Niall, will we plug the book again, or...?
No, I think everybody knows that Behind the Lines is available in all good bookshops and on the 42 dot shop.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. No, it's going to be a good weekend up in Belfast. I'm doing wreck here. Great to speak with Mick. A couple of nice little tidbits there. Back in the garden in March.
Yeah, that Odyssey date in, what did he say, May, June, was it?
End of May, start of June. He refuses to clarify which it is.
That'll be some cracker, though.
They may have 2 dates booked there, but he will fight on one of them.
I might pin you for a prediction. We didn't ask Mick for a prediction. So, Frampton and Garcia and Conlan and Cajas.
I wish you hadn't done that. Frampton will take out Garcia, I would say, in 7 or 8 rounds, and I think he'll look good doing so.
Can Jamie
Cajas is... I know a lot of people who are writing Jamie off completely. I would say do that at your peril, and that's bordering on cliche at this stage. It really depends on
anybody that's seen him fight before will know that they can't do that.
Exactly, and what was interesting about a recent chat I had with Jamie, which is on the site at the moment, is that he was saying, yeah, no, I have to stick to my game plan, etc. But said, no, but if it does go to the trenches, I've been there. Yeah. This guy hasn't been, and that's an interesting little tidbit, I think, from Jamie. We'll see how that turns out if it does go to the trenches again. But
it'll be a belter.
Prediction, I don't know. I think it's going to be a cracker. Atmosphere is going to be amazing. If Jamie does stick to a game plan, I actually do think he can win. If anything goes wrong for him, I think he'll lose. But I hope he does it. So that's my 2 cents. And as for Paddy, we'll have to find out if Mr. Quizada has shed a couple of pounds before that fight happens.
Should be a belter anyway.
Absolutely. Big fights as well for John O'Carroll. There's Lewis Crocker on the bill. Loads of Irish guys. Absolutely stacked with talent. Tommy McCarthy. I'll probably get a rollicking from a couple for
forgetting them.
But just tune in, or if you're going, go early, see them all and support the lads. That is all we've got time for here on Close Calls for this week. Well, we've said enough about the book. It is out. But our thanks to yourselves at home for commenting, for tuning in. Thanks to Michael Conlan for joining us, and thanks as per usual to Air Sport. We will be back next week, but until then, enjoy the weekend and take care.